Okay, good morning. Let's continue with this session. Um, for this session, we are going to go through quite a number of. Yes, I already saw her note. Okay, sure, no problem. It's all recorded. I'll be posting to everybody. It's a continuation of the last session. So let me just run through. So we have went through the platform, basically the building blocks of what is for this mobile app. So went through the app inventor, and primarily is we went through all the different steps that's needed for the installation and setup. So I assume all of you have already done that. And we also went through the different features of the IDE, the Integrated Development Environment. So today we are going through a more in-depth, because when you start to develop an application, you'll be using all these different things. But with the exception of this, we will not be using this, this, and this. Okay. So these are the different functions that we will start to use from today onwards. Then we also cover the first application for the Hello World. So by now you should have one application in your phone that's developed by you. Okay. So this provided you have your physical Android phone, but if you do not have your this emulator should have that app as well in the emulator. So today we're going to cover this, and we're going to touch about what is event-driven programming. I'll talk more about that, especially when we touch on the first application. So for the first app, I will run through in more detail and slowly, because that will help you to understand the whole process. Because doing an application is not just opening up the computer, start keying the code. It's not really that, right? Like I mentioned to the engineers in our C++, when you develop an application, you need to you need to try to crystallize and understand first the problem. And with the problem, then you slowly get to your solution. That's that's really the whole purpose of developing an application. Okay, so you can see there's 5 applications. I ran through a few times, but if let's say worst come to worst, we cannot cover all. We'll try to cover at least 3. And this one last application will be your homework. For Margaret, in the last session, I mentioned that your computer and the phone must be on the same Wi-Fi network. That will be the best. If not, you go through the data line, then you might have some issues. Or you're in the office, is it? Um, okay, maybe you can ask Zhen Yi. Maybe he can help you with the password. I do not know. Okay. Okay, coming back to here. So the last application, I'll leave it for all of you as homework. Then this will be one that you will be doing. I'll go into more details later. Okay. So you notice that from here, basically, the whole session 1 is really to target to help everyone to be able to do an application. It's not so intensive. That is why this was meant really for all of you, whether you're an engineer or not. You should be able to do all this application from 1 to 5. From 6 onwards, it's a little bit more intensive in terms of the communications, understanding their structure, because those guys are the engineers already went through that, and then a lot of logic required. But I will strongly encourage all of you to attend as well. Okay, and at least you can see what are the different features that even at this platform you can actually achieve. All right. Okay, let me just go to the next. Now let's go to our mobile app number 1. Okay, I mentioned I will first start to talk about the process. When you want to start to develop an application, you really spend more time in the design phase, because if you just open a computer, start typing, somewhere down the line, you definitely get lost, because first and foremost, you need to understand what is a problem statement. What are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to solve? So for this first app, I state the problem statement as to keep track of body temperature daily. So all of you remember Zheng Yi went around, getting temperature from everyone. So it'll be nice if, let's say, those information can be tracked easily, right? So let's run through the whole idea. So first and foremost, at the very beginning, you have to understand the problem. So this is the first and foremost step, right? You don't have to know the solution yet. That's not important, because right now, is first and foremost, you need to understand what are we trying to, what are you trying to solve? What is the problem statement? Then next, this is a simplified model, so I'm not going to go through it more in depth, like for the engineers. But this is just very basic. So whatever you develop in applications for your home or for your friends or even for office work, right? So this one will help you to run through this whole process from start to the bottom. So next, actually, you need to find out what are different, so to do the design. Basically, what you're trying to do is to crystallize how the outlook. Right. So for this platform, one thing is good is that it allows you to pick and place the different types of layout and the user interface that you want to do, right, very easily. So that's why you can do this step immediately in the IDE. So at the designer section, yeah, right, you can already do that. And of course, next thing is do some testing, prototyping. To check all the different single functions. So even for this App Inventor, it allows you to even try out. Let's say you're not sure whether that button can do or not. You just place the button, and then you can try to do something like that, right? So you can play around and try to isolate the different, or what we call the subsystems, isolate the subsystem functions to see whether that particular area works or not. Okay. And most importantly, after that, of course, is your logic flow. So for this particular part, this will tie into when you do your code or blocks. For those who went through the C++, I mentioned it's a procedural, right? So the different type of programming is procedural. Okay, but in our case here, we are doing event-driven. So what is event-driven? Event-driven means, I showed you the last time that you had was you put in a button, right? And then you put in a text, a label. So the moment you press the button, something happens, right? Then this one shows hello world. Or based on the conditions, if something, else something. So for this particular platform, because especially for mobile app, it is foremost is event driven, but it doesn't mean that you don't have procedure inside. The procedure is embedded within your event driven. Just like this, you see this? Because once you press the button, you have to do something. And this is in a top-down fashion. So we'll touch more on the logic flow as we do the applications, especially for the first app. Okay. Then of course you do your, definitely will do some what we call testing. Sorry. Testing and debugging. Debugging is to make sure that you take out whatever problems that might appear in your code. Okay, this is the whole process. And then you see whether do you solve this problem or not. Okay. So let's come to our design. So for me, basically, I would like to look at, first and foremost, look at the problems, see what we're trying to understand, to solve, and then most importantly, look at the problem in more detail, break it down. If the problem is very big, try to demarcate the different sections of how you, or even break down into subsystem to see how you can solve it. But at the same time, I'd like to also include this the layout, how I would like it to be, how I would like to have this my app to be portrayed, because the final outcome of your design might means the kind of a design process that you want to do. Okay, so for this first app, just follow me. Just follow me on my whole design process, and then it'll be easier for you to understand, hopefully. But if you have any questions, please stop me. All right. Okay. So firstly, the problem is that I need to have a daily, right? So every day, then you'll be going around taking the data, the information of temperature. So in other words, I will need to keep track of the date. So in other words, the information must have a date on the app. Okay. So, and we need to keep track of everybody, meaning that different people with different temperature. So meaning to say that there must be a name, and then there must be a temperature, right? So for me, I would like to do things, hopefully not to make things difficult, but at the same time, to be able to do things easily and to utilize whatever features or the technology there are. So I would like to maybe have one update here, a button to update. And then I would like to keep track of who are the members that have already uh, 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 tested the temperature. So there must be some list, right? So there must be a name and then a temperature, like a tabulator form. Okay. So for me, I think that will be something that might be able to fulfill this problem statement. Now, the other thing is that since we're using a phone, right, and we have to do this very quickly. So my idea was also to maybe don't have to, type in. It's very tedious. That's just like when you do your chatting, you got to type. So let's do maybe a speech to text instead button. So this one will be speech to text, same as this. So if I were to do speech to text, meaning to say that there might be an occasion where when I speak, Google might recognize it wrongly. So that means I must be able to see, right? So this one is like I must be able to see the output. I must be able to see whether once I say the name, and then is the name correct? Let me show John. Right, if I say 36.7, it should show 36.7. Something like that. Okay. So looking at this, I think, okay, maybe it might makes more sense. And this layout might be able to solve this problem. So I already done my design, right? So I already solved my understanding. Check. And then my design. Okay. I'm not sure whether it works or not, right? So design phase is always, you try to do up something, have a layout, have some possible solution, but it doesn't mean that it will really work. Okay, so that's why you have to go through your next session. All right. Okay, so with this design, let's start with the actual design on our platform. So can all of you go back to your App Inventor? I'll be sharing the other screen. Okay. Can all of you see this? So basically, this is where we left off from the last time. Okay. So today we're going to do a new app. So let's go back to your project. Okay. Go to your start. Create a new project. For me, I'll call it mobile app 1. Okay, but that's our first actual project, first actual app that will solve a problem. And click OK. Okay. So my design earlier on was to have a date, name, temperature, and an update button, but yet I want to also add in a speech to text function, right? So first and foremost, I need to know how I'm going to lay them out. So primarily, this whole screen is the whole screen of your mobile phone. The very first thing you will want to do is to ensure that you tabulate the different tools that you want to place. So of course, you want to have all your features from the top to bottom, right? So that means you want to have a vertical arrangement. So click on vertical arrangement and then just place it there. Okay. So once you've done that, we want this to be able to stretch to the width of the phone. So go back to the property. This vertical arrangement is selected. So the properties will appear. Then once it's appear, go to the width and then click this fill parent. Okay. Once you click fill parent, click OK. Then you filter everything. But in our case, we want everything to be vertical from top to bottom. So we do the same thing for the height, fill parent as well. Okay. Then click OK. So you have one layout that is going from the top to bottom. Okay, good. Next is that we want to have items from a row perspective, right? So first thing we want to show is the date. Second thing is the name. Then is the temperature. And then I also add in the update button, right? So let's put in the horizontal arrangement. Put this inside this vertical arrangement. And we want to be able to stretch it. Same thing, fill parent. Now, this fill parent means you fill to this vertical layout because that was the initial one that you have placed. So once you've done that, that's good. Then what you're going to put inside this horizontal is what I mentioned earlier on, is that we want to put a date, right? So first and foremost, we want to show that the word date, and that will be a label. So put in a label, and then go to the properties here, and then change the label, the text for the labels to just date, colon space. So if the wording come out too small, you can always change. So for me, I need a bit bigger. It's just way too small for me. So I'll put it 18. So for you, you can change to any numbers you want as long as it is easier for you to see, right? Then next would be the date. Now the date is, the system will show today's date, meaning that when you launch the application, it will show today's date, right? So that is not an entry. That means you don't have to put in manually. Likewise, you're doing a mobile app, everything should be simple. So put in another label this time. And then this time, this text is just for temporarily. Let's say today date. Okay. The important thing is we are going to change this. We are going to change this value inside this label later in your code. So this is just to show you your wordings here, and then to see your alignment. And since this one is going to be a value, I'll like to bold it and maybe change to a different color. It's easier for me. We went through this the last time. If you are not sure, just ask a question again. It's not a question. Okay, drag the vertical. You go to your you see my screen. Go down. You see this layout here thing. This layout. Click layout. You see this vertical arrangement. Take this one and drag it to your blank screen. It should be a blank screen first. Okay, blank screen. Have we got it? Miko. So today's date, and then let me just change the color. Maybe I change to, let's see. Oh, longer. Okay. Okay, go back to your vertical arrangement. This is the first one, right? You see this height here? Click here, and then same thing, fill parent. You got it? Okay. Okay, going back to here. Now, so this will be the one that will be placing the actual date. So for me, I would like to, if you by default, they'll just tell you, the system will just name it as label 1, label 2, and if you have more labels, you just change the name numerically. But we are going to use this and put something, another value here. So for me, is I always rename it. I mean, if I'm going to change the value, I'll rename it and turn it as a variable. I mentioned remember I mentioned the word variable the last session, because we're going to use it as like a memory item that we're going to place. We're going to change the information inside. For me, it's label. This is okay. Maybe it's easier. It's just, let's say today. Okay, easier. Okay. So now I have my first information here, right? And then next, I want to have a spacing similar to this. So I put another horizontal arrangement below. And same thing, I want to make the width to fill the parent. Fill the parents, go all the way. If you have an item here, you just go all the way and you stop at where the item lies, right? And for this is, since this is a spacing, maybe I just want to put the height to a certain percentage. For me, I just say, okay, maybe 3%, 3% of your whole screen, because you have different phone, different screens, right? Some has very small screen, some has very big screen. So this is dependent on how much space that you want to have between your two variables. So for me, my phone is not very big, so put 3%. Okay. And right below here is we're going to put in the name. So put in another horizontal arrangement. Same thing, the width, fill parent. Okay. Everybody got here? Anyone have not reached here yet? We can hold for a while. Oh, okay. So you see the vertical arrangement here? And then my height is fill parent. My width also fill parent. Then everything that I'm going to place are all underneath the vertical arrangement. If you don't have this, I'll advise you maybe just delete everything, redo again. Placing your vertical arrangement, change this to fill parent, width to also fill parent. Then after that, place the rest of the item inside. All right. Okay. So for this second item, we're going to place in the name, right? So likewise, for the date, go back to your user interface here. We're going to put in the labels because we say a name. If not, you wouldn't know what the information is, what you're going to put inside, therefore. So for that text on that label, change to rename, :space. Likewise, change your fonts again to 18. Yes. So rename is you click the item that you want to rename, and then you see this button here, you rename it. All right. So, okay. So rename, this is the label. And then I'm going to put in the name. Now, I mentioned earlier in our design, we don't want to let the user enter the name, because first and foremost, fast and easy, right? So instead of that, I'm going to put in the button. I'll show you why is it a button later, okay? So for this name of the button, I'll put in name, because this is what the button is to capture the name for. Same thing, I change the font to 18. And since this button is an event, that means I'm going to do something with it. I click on the button and I'll rename it. So for button, I'll BND for short for button, and then I'll name it as button for name. And I prefer a longer button so it's easier for me because my thumb very big, right? So I'll click the button again and then click on the width. Same thing like your layout. I can do the same thing to fill parent as well. So now your button is bigger. Okay. And for this, maybe I'd like to change to a different color. You don't want to change the color, it doesn't matter. You can do the same, just leave it the same. So ultimately, you should have something like this. Okay. Next, we're going to put in the third item. Go back to your layout again because you want to have some spacing, right? So put in the horizontal arrangement likewise, stretch it, fill parent, and then for the height, same thing, it's just a spacing, I just put in 3%. And this time, the third item we're going to put in is to read the temperature, right? So for the width, let's drag it, fill parent, and then same thing for your date, same thing for your read name label. And this one is to read temp. Change the font size. Okay. Then lastly, for the same, like the name, lastly for the temperature, we add another button here, inside here, next to your read temp. And change the name for the button, read temp, for the font size, 18. And this, I would like to have a different color. Maybe I'll change it to red, so it's easier for me to see. And also I want to stretch the button to fill the width. Then lastly, since this button is to do something, right? Always rename it. For me, it's easier for me to track. This one is temp. Although if we get to this stage, anyone have a problem reaching this stage? Okay. Okay, good. So next, the final thing is that we want to do something, right? We want to also do the update. Then likewise, let's give it another layout. This time around is we need to have a space, similar to the space, fill the width, then the height, let's give it 3%. Okay. Then after that, put in another horizontal arrangement, fill the width, and then this time around, one button. And for this button, for this width, we want to centralize it, right? Because we are going to have only one button that is update. So change the name to update. Change the button name to update first. Convert the font. And since I like the button to be bigger, so the width, maybe I will just put it like 50% of the entire width, like that. But we want to centralize the button. So, and centralize the button in this horizontal arrangement. So click on horizontal arrangement for that where your button is inside. And then go to the horizontal arrangement properties and change to center. So this is your final layout for your entry side. Do you have all this? All of you, do you have this? So if you have already paired your phone should show the same thing, right? Your phone should have the similar layout as what you are doing here on your computer. Okay, good. Now, the other thing I forgot to mention is that in our design, we want to do something like I press a name and then it might show something different, right? So I need to put in an output to show the screen. So since we have this spacing here, so let's put in the information there. So I click this horizontal because my target was the there's a space, but since I want to put something there, I'll make it a bit bigger. Let's make it like say 6%. So for you to make you make your adjustment based on the screen on your phone. We'll take a look. Because right now is that you see, you're gonna place another label right after the name. And this label is the output name. This is what you're going to show when you press this name button and when you speak to your phone, because it might translate wrongly. So you want to make sure that it is the right name before you press the update button. Okay. And since we want to centralize this in the center, click on your horizontal layout that you place your output name label in. Same thing as click center. So let me go back to the output again, because I want to have the same color as this so that I know that this output is the output for the name. So I'll change this to blue. And then since I'm going to change the value of output, I'll go and click on this label. I'll rename it output. With me so far, all of you? So you notice this one maybe is centralized on a horizontal scale, but it's not centralized in a vertical scale. So click on this, and then you notice here on your horizontal, you show top, click the center. So it's centralized. So let's do this for the temperature as well. So go back to the spacing between the temperature and the update. Click on the horizontal arrangement, which is meant for the spacing. And we are changing this to 6% and adding in the new label, which will be showing the output for the temperature to make sure that the translation is correct. And I'm going to change the color to red, same as the button, and the fonts to be the font don't have to be so big, I think. Maybe 50. Yeah, since it's going to be just the output, I think I should be able to survive a small size. And then let's centralize this guy. So click on the horizontal layout that your label is in, center for the horizontal alignment, and center for the top alignment. And then lastly, change the name because you're going to do something with it. Let's rename it label output. Okay. So when you have done all this, let's run through the design again, right? So we say that we want to have a date to show today's date automatically. And then we want to be able to capture the name and do it easily with using the speech to text. And then to have to see the output before we actually press the update. So the output is here. And then to read the temperature, to read and then see the output of the temperature. And then if these two are good, then you click the update button. So lastly, we need to update into a listing. Oh, okay. You see this label here? This label is inside this alignment, right? Okay. Click on this horizontal arrangement, and then go to the properties of that horizontal arrangement. Then centralize both the horizontal alignment and the vertical alignment. Then this label will be centralized. Same thing for the output name. Click on the horizontal arrangement, center both vertical and horizontal. Okay. Okay, so all of you have this. So next is that on the layout of the screen, the final thing is to add in a listing for a view. So you go to your user interface. You see this list view here? I want you to drag and drop it just underneath. And sorry, just give me a minute. I think should I put in the horizontal layout, even though it's going to fill everything, but it's always good to put in one for your item to be under a layout. So put in this horizontal arrangement and then fill the width, same thing. And this time we want this horizontal arrangement to fill everything in in the remaining of your phone. So the height also fill parent. And since we're gonna have only one list, right? So one item inside this horizontal arrangement layout. So centralize everything first. Okay, got it? So for this one below, that's meant for a list, center everything, fill everything. Meaning fill the height, fill the width, and then center your height horizontal and center your vertical. Then after that, go back to your user interface, click your list view, drag and just drop it here. So for your list view, we also want to make sure that it fills everything. Height fills, width also fill parent. Everybody got this? So once you have all this, in a way your layout is already done. Okay. Now we need to add in is a few more non-visible items, that means the functions that you want to do, right? Because I mentioned we want to be able to do a speech to text for both name and temp. Let's go down to the media. So under the media side, on the left hand side, you choose the media. You notice this text to speech. No, sorry, not text to speech, speech to text, sorry. Speech to text. Speech to text. You want to recognize the speech, right? So it's actually speech to text function. Click and drop anywhere in your on the layout. Anywhere, doesn't matter. If you go down, you'll see that you have this speech recognizer at the bottom. So means that you already have this non-visible component. So we want to have for name and temp, so we must have two. Click and drag one more speech recognizer and just drop it in your layout. So you should have two speech recognizer. Okay. Next is that we also want to show today's date, meaning to say we need to have a clock, right? We need to be able to access the clock in your phone. So we go to sensors and you see the clock here. Same thing. Unable to add in emulator. Oh, emulator, because I thought it's a computer. It doesn't work, is it? What did the emulator say? Okay. Okay. If in the event that your emulator does not accept this speech, because if it's speech means that it's actually using your computer's mic to receive your speech, and then it will should be able to translate for you. But really, if it doesn't really work on your emulator, we will do something. for those who do not have a physical Android phone. All right. Okay. So let's continue. You have two speech recognizer, and now we want to add in the clock because we have today's date. So same thing, click your clock and just drop anywhere. So if you look at the bottom of your layout, you should have these three things: speech recognizer, 1, 2, and a clock. Okay? All of you got this? So once all of you got this, we are ready to do coding. Okay? So shall we have like say about 3 minutes to 5 minutes break? Humanitarian break. Okay? Okay, shall we continue? Okay. So now, I assume all of you have this exactly the same. If not, you can make any changes you want. You want to add image, pictures to your buttons. You know, it's really, really up to you. Okay. So I just need to show you the basic layout. So you can put anything other than image, even your own pictures. Also, it doesn't matter. So let's work on the functions. Okay, for all these things. So go up again, and then now you see, go to your block. Take your blocks. So like me, you should have a blank screen here, right? And then on the left hand side, you should have all the different items that you have placed on your layout, right? You should see all these things. Okay. So firstly, we want to add in the date, right? Because in our designer, the first thing is to show the date. So let's do the date first, okay? So, and we want the date to be able to show when you launch the application, meaning to say when your application is activated, then your date will be shown. Jimmy, not so fast. I know you're very advanced already. So hang on for us, okay? Hang on for a while with all of us. Okay. So what we want to do is go to the screen. You see this screen here? Click the screen. Now, this screen means that is similar to your application. So we want your application to initialize something. That means you will do something when it's launched. So click and hold this screen initialize and then drop it on the tablet here. Okay. Now, next thing is that, remember we mentioned the renaming of the dates. You see this? So we rename so that it's easier for us to recognize. If you do not rename, you have label 1, label 2, you don't know whether what they are, right? So that's why I always rename the labels if I want to do something. If it's like this, label 1, I know that I do not need to do anything with it in these blocks. So I'll just ignore. So down here I have the label dates. Click on the label dates. Okay, click on this label date and this will appear. Okay. Now what we want to do with this label date is to change the text in the dates. So scroll down until you see this set this label name, the label today's date dot text. You see this? Eh? If you see this, click and drag and just drop it here. And we want this date to be changed the moment we initialize, right? So you don't have to put anything here. Don't put in initialize, but you put it in, it doesn't matter because it won't do anything at the moment because your app is already launched. So you won't see this until you relaunch the app, but don't do that first. If not, then you have to reconnect everything. I'll show you how to do, and I'll show you another method to see whether the date is correct or not. Okay. Now, so this date, this is what you're going to change value. So what are the things that are going to change will be added on the right hand side. Okay. So you want to show the today, the date, the month, and the year. So these are three different information coming out from the system, from your system that we added clock, right? We added the three non-visible components. One of them is the clock, and we're going to take the information from the clock. Okay. But before that, please go and click on the text. Click the text because there's three information, and I will at the same time. Let me just at the same time, I also want to format it correctly. So it's a combination of text. So what we're going to do is go all the way up. You see this join here? We did something like that in the first session, remember? So likewise, click and just drag this join here. and just plug it here. So we're going to have month, date, year, and we're going to have some like a parent, this the backward slash. So that means there will be 5 different tags we're going to add. So you see this setup icon, click, and then put in a few more strings. For me, I want to put 5. Okay, I want to put 5 sections here. Okay, let me just move this all the way to the right because I'm going to take the information from the clock. So once you have this, go to the left-hand side and then go to the clock. You click the clock and then you should see all these things as well. Now, this one is more of getting the features or the functions from the clock. So what we want is to, firstly, to take the day of the month. So you scroll down, you see this day of month, right? Click and drag and drop it here. Because then you see this word instance. This instant means that what is the value that you want to extract from the clock? Because the clock is, other than telling you the date and time and month and year for the current system in your phone, it actually can do it work as a timer. As long as whatever clock that it can function as, it can be a stopwatch, it can be a timer, it can be an alarm, anything. As long as you need something like a time function, clock can do that. So that's why they have this instance here, because they need to know what information you want from the clock. So in our case, what we want is today's or the actual time or the actual date. So go back to your clock one more time and then scroll down until you see this word now. Let me see. Okay, you see this? You all see this? Call clock.now. Now means I want the information of now. Then click and drag and plug it in your instance. So now you're ready to put this as your first information. So this will give you the date. And then next for me, I want to format it correctly. I go all the way up for my text. I click text, get a text entry here. I'll put a space, backward slash space. Okay. So now we have the date and we want to add a month. So go back to your clock again. And then this time around, we want to take the month. So scroll down until you see the word month. Okay, see this? Call clock one.month instant. Click and drag and drop it here. Same thing, we also want today's month, which is this month. You don't have to go back to your clock again. You can just hover here, right click and duplicate. Again, if you want to make one more instance of this item, right click and duplicate. Yes, Jonathan, that's right. You can do that as well. Okay. Same thing for this. I also want to have a backward slash to format it. Right click, duplicate. Click. So the last one is the year. For the year, you go to your clock again one more time. And this time around, instead of month, you want year, right? So this is the one. Clock year. Same thing. You want this year, so it's now. So you have all these things, all of you. So once you have all these things, bring this whole section of the block, plug it under initialize. So on your phone, you see the date. Have it changed? No, it didn't change because you did not relaunch the application. So how do we know whether is this information correct or not? So let's utilize the name button for now, okay, just to test. So click on the name. You see the button for the name, and this one we want to bring down the click when click. Same thing as you did in your first session, the button when click, bring this down, and then this time around you hover to the green section, which is the today's date label, right click and duplicate. This will duplicate the whole thing that you have just done. Put it under the button. So now on your phone, press the name button. Do you see the date? All of you, do you have your date information displayed? So if the formatting is exactly what you want, then good. So now, please take this one, right click and delete it. Okay, because we do not want to show the name. When you press the name, you show the date. No, that's not what we want. We just to test. So your this initialization section is done. So the date section is done. Okay. Okay, next. Now, what we want for the button for the name, right, is when the user press this button, the phone will ask you to speak, meaning you have to speak the name. So what we're going to do, you go all the way down. We will use speech recognizer 1. You can also rename this if you want, the non-visible component. If you want to rename this as speech recognizer name, you can do that. But since we're going to just have 3 items, I know what they are, so I did not rename. So let's click on speech recognizer 1. So what we're going to do is call this get text and place it under the name button. Okay. So we're going to do something after the name was recognized, right? I mean, what after the user speak the name. So go back to your speech recognizer 1. Make sure that you use the same number as the same component as the one that you use for name. If his name is 1, make sure you go back to 1, and then you do something which is to, after getting text, bring this down. You know what I'm saying? If let's say this is 1 and then you go and choose this as 2, then you do something only after you press 2, and this 1 will go to another feature. So don't mix up these two. If your name is 1, make sure that what you want to do after the name is also the same number as your component that you use. So after we got the text, what do we want to do? Remember, let me go back to designer again. Remember this output name? We want to show that this output name is correct. So we go back to the blocks and then go to the label that's output name. See this one? Output name. Click on it and we want to change the value. So changing the value means I want to set the text, right? So what we want to set the text to? Down here, you see, down here, there's 2 items here. Result and partial. These are the variable that is within this particular component. Variable as in the output of this particular component that is named as after getting text. So what we want is the result. So you see, when you use a button, you use a mouse, just hover over the result. You have 2 selections. You can either get the result or you want to change the result to something else. But in our case, we want the result, right? So get the result. Click and hold drag it and plug it here. So on your phone, can you just press the name button? Your Google will ask you to speak. You say a name and then see whether the name recognized is it correct. Can all of you try? Oh, yeah, sorry. You don't have the speech. Uh, it's actually a built-in function, Jonathan. The speech recognizer, you're actually using the built-in function of the Android. Okay, that's good. So all of you tried your temperature. The temperature, you say the number, like 36.1, 37.2, 38. You should recognize the number fairly quickly. Okay. Okay, good. So now finally we are going to do the updates. Okay, so this one is a little bit more tedious. So let me just do all the. Let me do some explanation. I need a bit more space, so I make it a bit smaller, right? Now, I'll go back to the designer. Let me just show you this. So the updating of this information, what we're going to do here is we're going to do a listing. I mentioned earlier on in my this. Let me see. Earlier on, I mentioned that for this view, right, we are going to do some tabulations. But in order to make it simplified, we are going to use the list. This view. So list view allows you to put in everything in a row. Okay, everything in a row. Now, when you develop this, you notice that sometimes you also want to allow user to backtrack from an error. Say, for example, you because too quickly you thought the name is correct, the temperature is correct, and you press update. You want to allow also the user to delete. Let's say I want to delete this. So this one item is wrong, right? So how do we delete this? Delete this information. We need to add that function in as well, right? Okay. So for this case, we're going to do a few things behind the scene before this can be updated. So let me just go back, go back to the blocks, and let me just show you slowly, okay? Now, first and foremost, we need to add something like we call this a global variable. Remember we mentioned we did something like that the last time, global. Global variable. So this is what we want to show before outputting to the list. So let's put this as list of tested people. And because we're going to use a list, remember I mentioned this listing here? We're going to use this list. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a list each time the user press the update button. But in the first place, we need to initialize this list with something. So we initialize it with a header. Header is like a title. You know, when you go to Excel file, on top there's always always put some name of the column, the title column, the name. So we're gonna put that, but we're gonna only use one. So click this setup icon here. Take away the item, and we're just gonna put one. Okay. And since all our text, I mean the listing, they are all in text form. So please go to the text and put in this information here. And change the name, change the value. What we're going to have is the name, space, and then the vertical bar, which is on top of the oblique key, and then space, and then 10. You can put anything you want, because this is just to highlight what kind of text. You want to put like that also can. You want to put like that also can. Well, it's really up to you. So for my case, I put this. So what we're gonna do is, next thing is to do is, we're gonna do the button that when the user press, click on the update button. Let me see where's update. Oh, you see, I've forgotten again. So that means my update, I did not change the name, did I? Oh, I did not change the name, you see? So it's very confusing. So I always change the update to update button. Go back to blocks. And then I can go down and search for my update button. So update button is when I click, I'll do something. Okay, let's just leave it there for a while. Okay. Next is let me explain about the list. So when you create a list, okay, see, what do you miss? Oh, button, okay. The button, is it? Okay, the button is, you click on go to designer, click update, and then I just do a rename. I just click a rename. All right. That is to help me to recognize that that button is meant for update. Okay. So when you click the update button, right? So there's a few things that need to be done. Firstly is you are going to add the items, add the new item that are from the output result. You notice here, your output name, there's from the result from the speech, and an output temperature that resulted from the speech for this temperature button. So what we want is that we want this information from the output and this information from the output labels, these two labels, to enter into a list, a new list, a new row. So go to the list here. And what we're going to do is add items to list. You see this button here? This item here. Click and then drop and then drag it below. So now you have already initialized this global variable list of tested packs as make a list, right? This is already initialized as a list. So what we want is to add new items into this list. So use your mouse, hover over this, and then you see this get global list of tested packs. Click and drag and just click it here. Now, next is the item. Item means that this is what information are you going to add into the list, this particular list that's stated here. So what we want is to output name and the temperature to go into here, right? And since we are going to combine these two together with a separator, so we'll do the same thing. So there's 1, 2, 3 information. Okay, so I'll go to my text, do a join, put it here, and then go to the setup, and I want to add one more information. So for this one is, I get the information that is the output text, output name text, put a label, output name, and now I'm not setting, I just want the information, I want the text. So I just take the output name dot text, not set. If you set, it will be a problem, be name. But anyway, if you click the set, you also cannot go in because you look at the jigsaw puzzle, the socket. Only this socket will go inside here. So in other words, it will help you not to make that kind of mistake. So you have the name, and we want to have a separator. So for me, my separator is this vertical bar, so space, vertical space. And then next is the temperature. So go to the label, output the name, output temperature, and I want the text. So once this is done, okay, once you have done this, right, your list here is still not changed. Nothing happens. It's because this list is in the memory. So what we want is to transfer that over to your transfer that from the memory into here. So for the engineers, actually this engineers, this week is your honeymoon. Next week you will be more intense. You'll be doing the heavy load next week in the next session. So this is something like an array. So we're going to transfer this information over to your output. So go all the way down. You see this list view, right? So we want to set the elements in the list view to what your array is now holding, which is your list of texted bags. So get this one and put it here. Okay, so once you have done all this, we will have one more step to do. We have one more item to do. Remember I mentioned earlier just now that we want to allow the user to delete the wrong entry. Okay, go all the way down. Go to the list view, and then you see this all the way up. You see this after picking? After picking, click and then put below. Now, after picking means that we want the user to, when the user click on any of the names in that list, is to remove from this array or this listing. So what does it mean? Go to the list. Now we want to, instead of add items, we want to remove. You see this remove? List items, remove. And then which is the list that we want to remove from? Same thing. This is the same list variable that we already initialized. Get this and plug it here. Now the next thing need to explain is this index. So index is something like your row in Excel file. Because every time when you add a person, you actually add a row, right? So from row 1 to row 2, row 3. So this index is the number of that row. So for this case is that we want to remove the item that the list view was the user click on that particular row. So that is the selected index, right? So we go to the list view. We go all the way down. So what we want is the selected index. You see this? Selected index means is which particular row the user select. So take this one out and then plug in here. Now, after you have done this, you'll still not be shown, you still not show or output on the view. Still not updated until you update again. Same thing here. So what we do here is duplicate and then okay. And all of you try to read the name, temperature, update a few times, temperature update, and then you click on any of the row, it should delete. List view again, okay. So while the rest of you try, I'll explain about the listing view again. Okay, for those who have not have missed that section. Okay, let me just delete this again. Okay. Yeah, Jie, if no warning means that you need to do what? The logic. You can do something about that, right? Right. So if you want to alert the user alert the user before you delete it, what do you need to do? So you add in the feature. By now you should be able to do that. All right. Okay, for KC, let me run through the list again. So first and foremost, we want to add in a list because this This list is something like a very mini Excel file. But this Excel file only has one row. And only one column in. This whole thing is just one column. Within one column, there's many rows, right? So I created this initialize global initialize variable from here. Go to variable, take this, put it here, and rename it as list of tested packs. So once you're done that, then go to the list, and then what you want is to make a list. You see this thing here? Click and drop, and then change here to remove one item. We only want to add one item, which is the title here, and then to put it here. And then you need to initialize with something. So this time we want to initialize that particular row as a text. Then go to text, take out this blank thing here, and enter the same one I have entered here. Just click inside, you can enter whatever information you want to put. So for my case, I put name, space, a vertical bar, and then tab. Okay. So once you get this, then you want to do something with the button, right? When you press update, go to the update button, and then click update. So when you click the update button, it has to do something, right? So update means to add the information to the list. And we're going to do that by doing a list, add item to a list. And then what list is that? Is this list that we already global initialized. Take this and put it here. Okay. Let me just check. Amanda. Amanda, you want to know that? Let me do that later. Maybe Jia, we can share. Jia, we can share. Okay. So once you've done this, all right. So you want to add that item. So what item is the what we're going to add into the list. What are we going to add inside here? So these three items: the name, the separation, the formatting, and then the temperature, right? So that's why the text we need to add in the joint. But there's only two sockets. We want to add one more socket. Come here. And then this one is the output name that we already verified. And get the text of the name. Add in the separator. And then we also want the output of the temperature. Okay, so doing this is we're not update the list yet because this is the memory. You only change the memory, so you need to output and show, right? So to show that, go to your list view and then set the elements. Set the elements, this element, to the list variable that you have already initialized. So I want to duplicate this. Okay, you got it? For the rest of you who has not finished the listing, so all of you got it? Then the other function that we want to add is the delete function, right? So delete means after the person has view, the view and then click on that particular row is after picking. When you touch on that row, is also the name as picking. After picking means we want to delete from that row, right? So instead of add, go to your list again, and then do a remove. Remove this item. What list is that? This list. And then likewise, the index is the row number of that list. So which row number is the row number that the user clicked? Meaning that we could go to this list view, select index. Same thing, this is just to update the memory in order to show an output to the list on the screen on your computer. Double click this, right click this, duplicate, and just put below. Okay, so there you have it for your first application. So this is the basic function of how you're gonna keep track of the temperature and the name. Okay, let me see, got some. Of course, because you press on the item, that is also part of the list, right? So if you do not want, what do you need to do? You need to do some condition. Remember the last session, for the rest of you, I mentioned something about this logic, control, if else, and done. So you can do something like that, adding more control, meaning to say, after the person click, right, after picking, you can put in something like this. Take out this whole thing, put it below. You put in the expression here, if what. So if you do not want if you want to ask the user again, you can put in some condition. Like request the user to enter do another speech. And then if the condition is yes, then let me just add in there. But before that, all of you have got the basic function done. Anybody has any problems? Before I move on to this, I show you one feature you can do this. Yes. Update click. Okay. Is your update click something like this? Or do you have something else? Duplication error. Do you have probably two of this update? Can you just drag and just see whether do you have maybe accidentally duplicate this whole thing like that? Do you have something like this? Okay. Then zoom out all the way, and then you see whether what other blocks that you have. You have three. When update.click, you have three. You mean what you have the number 3, is it? You have 3 update.click. There. One name, one temperature, and one update. Yeah, correct. It should be 3, yes. Yep, there should be only 3. Or Arthur, maybe you send me a picture of your blocks through Skype. I'll take a look. Okay, so for those of you who want to do this condition, let me just show you one feature, right? Okay, for this for the speech recognizer, let's add in, since we're on speech recognizing, just click and just drag here. So you have a speech recognizer 3 now. Okay. Abdullah Man date update. Okay, Ken. Abdullah, just give me a minute. Let me just show the rest of this one. So after pick, right? So when after pick, what we want is to get the text of this, get the text, and then we also want to get the text. Let me just think about it now. Okay, this one, get the text below, and then we also want this one. After getting text, we want to put in a variable, a global variable, and then this one is to confirm delete. This confirm delete. Now this one is a variable. Let's put this as text. Okay, and then we want to store that confirm delete with the result we got from the after text. So for here in the condition, we want to compare whether this global compare is exactly the same as the word yes. Yes. Now, okay. So then since this one is a logic, we want to check whether this compare, yeah. Okay, never mind. This one is a logic itself. Okay. So can you try now? Whether when you click on the list, the Google will ask you to speak. Then if you say yes, it will delete. If you say no or anything else, it should not delete. So this is the logic I was mentioning earlier just now. Okay, for Abdullah, let me just Ken also, Jonathan, no problem. That's good for you. Even easier. Okay, Abdullah, for this one, this is the date. So what we want here is that we want to show the date, month, and year. So how do we get this? Let me just put this aside. So this is a text. This one you know, right? So this one is you get the text, which is the label, and then what we want to is to join this 3 information with 2 separators. So there's 5 information we want to join. So that's why we go to the text here, get this join here, and click and put 5 blocks. Okay. Now for this clock, basically you go all the way down, you should have this clock function here. So when you click clock, you see this. These are the different features and functions you can actually use. So what we want is the day of the month, right? So you scroll down until you have the day of the month. Yeah, this one. So click and drag and drop this one. And the instant is the today, which is now. So a lot of time programming, when you like something now, with now function, generally it will give you the current information, whether is it the current clock frequency or even the current date and time or even the timestamp. They will give you that. So go back to your clock again, and this time around we want now, the now instance. So now because they're all alphabetical, you just go all the way down. See this now here? Click and drop. Okay. So for the separator, just do a text. Then you can have any separator you want. You want to dash also can. So do the same for the month and the year. Then you have the date. Okay, Abdullah? Okay, no problem. So, okay, get global confirm delete. This is the, okay, let me just go down. You see, let me explain a bit. You see, what you want is, you want to have a condition, right? A condition for a speech recognizer 3 that if you were to click on any of the list, whether is it really you want to delete or not, like what Jie mentioned. So we add in this function using another speech recognizer, which is 3, but you need to have like a variable, and that variable will store the information of the result. Now this result is local, meaning that it only recognizes within whatever that you place inside here, but I need the information here. So that's why I need a variable to store the information of that result, and then use that result and compare to see whether is that result a yes or something else. Then this will tell me whether is this compare, if this compare is correct, is yes, then that item will be deleted. If this item is no, you just skip this, and then you just finish. That's it. Oh no, yeah, correct. You not do anything, so I don't have to update. Okay, any more questions for this one? So all of you should have a functional temperature tracking app or something like that. You tap on the name, it asks for Google Speech. Okay, the result. You see the result here? When you place the speech recognizer, you go all the way down, speech recognizer, you see after getting text. After getting text, then it always comes with these two variables, result and partial. What we want is the result. You just hover your mouse over result, and then there'll be two options for you. Get result, set result. You just click and drop, take it out, and then you got get result. Okay, same thing here. Get result. Hover your mouse over the result, and then take out the result and just plug in there. And what we want is to set this get result to change the value in this confirm delete. Change the value in this confirm delete, and use that to do a comparison here. This view, okay, let me see. Okay. Oh, okay. Adrian, you got two update. No. Like recognizer, why your update has two? Your update, you don't need, you see your update dot click, right? Hang on. We got so many. I think there's some problems. Update. The update is the update button, right, Adrian? You see, you need to name. How about the name? Your name button. You got 3 buttons: name button, temperature button, and the update button. But right now, what you are doing is you use all the 3 buttons to be the same. Okay. Can you do this? You see, what you do is right now you have all is update like that. It's wrong. You see, all update. This is not what we need. What we need is recognizer 1 is for the name, so you must make sure that this button is for the name dot click. Then recognizer 1. Then this is for temperature, is a button for the temperature. And then this is the button for the update. Okay, you can only have one button with the dot click procedure to be done up. If not, your system will be confused. You got it, Adrian? You just click here, you can select the right item. Amanda, okay, just give me a minute. Okay. Okay, name, yes, temperature, result, okay. Confirm, global confirm, result, if, okay. What was the error, Amanda? Not getting deleted, is it? So after you press the list, the Google Voice will appear. You say yes, it didn't delete, correct? Okay, so it didn't delete the item. Okay, no problem. Now, let's do this. If it didn't delete, we need to see what value is this, right? So let's use the temperature output to store the output of this confirm, whether is it showing yes or not. Okay. So let's use the temperature output as the variable here, and then transfer this global delete and here. So now you press on the list, and then you say yes, and then you see this global output. The value. What did it show here? Temperature. What did it show? Did it show the word yes also? Is it exactly the same as yes? Okay. So if this is yes, comparison, yep, that's right. But is the text string all small fonts? Yes. Okay, let me see. Let me try on mine, okay? John. 34.1. Okay. Sam. There's 7.2. 37.2. Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm going to do something again. I think maybe the compare text give me the value. Give me a minute. Huh? Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. You see what I did just now? Yes. Okay. So down here is we need to add in a logic because if this if expression only knows true and false, yes and no. I mean true and false, 1 and 0. But this compare, it probably output something. Output maybe the value, the this the value as in other than the yes or no 1 and 0, 1 and 2. So we could convert this particular output to be a logical. So that's why you need to put in this logical condition here. So you notice I put in this green logical here under the logic, bring this one out, and then go to logic, put in the true again, put in the true. So if this, the variable, the what you say yes is equal to yes, and this is considered as true, then you delete. Okay, use logic. So by now you should be able to delete without you saying anything. Okay, let me see. Okay. Oh, then our condition is wrong. Come take a look. Let me see. Why is yes? Compare is yes. My ranking should be okay, so I don't know why. Let's see. Okay, like that. Put in the control. Duplicate this one. Get one result in the result here. And then I'll set this as a logical true. So don't use text, instead use it's false. Oh, my mistake. And yes, you have to change the value. Because after you set this as true, right, you must set this as false again. No. You know what I'm trying to say? Because if not, you'll be true all the time. Duplicate. I have to set. No, this one is correct. set result, text, this one. Then I have to set this one again, because once I delete, I could have set this one back to neutralize. If not, it will be yes all the time. Okay. Let me see first. Okay. Yes. Okay, I could do logic. Do logic. Okay, compare. Logic is true. Then after that, clear. Okay. Yes. Did I update? Put this view. Yes. No. The updated first. Wait. Hang on. Duplicate. I think I'll do this. Okay. Yes. No. 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 Yes. Yes. No. No. Okay. Double tap. Oh, okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay, so it's updating site. Okay. Let's see. Logic seems okay. Don't know why. Probably it's a feature of this list view, I think. Okay, never mind. Let's we can review this again. Let me just try to play around with it. By right, it should be okay. Yeah, I think it's the update process. Okay, I've never tried like that before, so we just play around to see the functions. Okay, let's play around with this one at later. Then I think we have quite a number of things to go, but I think we hopefully let's move on to the next app and to see whether can we do on at least complete that before we call it a day for today. Okay. Okay, I have another app that we'd like to try for this. So with this information, this problem statement, can I suggest that all of you try to run through the whole design phase? Understand the problem? Then you do your design. Then you do your this testing prototyping. And then your coding. And then debug. Test and debug. And then you check whether you solve the problem. Okay, can we do this? All of us do this? So I'll leave the design. You can, I won't restrict you what kind of design you need to do. So with this, how are you going to design this? How do you want to keep track of your expenses? Right? Maybe you want to have your same thing again, the list below. Your list view below. And then you want to be able to quickly enter the information, right? Maybe you want to do the same. The expenses are the item. Where's the item? Then the cost. So this one is the, you can either write out the name or you can speak like what you did for the earlier on in our first app. You can speak in the items. Or you can, and you can also speak in the price, the figures, how much, 201, 200 and 220 cents or 100, 100.2, something like that. You can try it out. And then after that, with an update, go into your list. Can? It should be fairly simple. It's a similar, you will see, you can use the similar flow, similar process. Extract this list to Excel file. Yes, of course. So let me just go and show you this one. Okay. Okay. If you click the list, can you see this? Excel to this is a Excel user. It is a comma separated value, the CSV, very common. You can actually use that to import into your this Excel file, right? Excel program. You can do that. So now only you need to know is how you're going to do that. How are you going to Excel the list of the table list? Then you want to output, right? So one thing you need to do before you can do that to output into a physical file is go back to here to do the storage. Now, what you want is to save to the output. What you would be using is this file. So let's go and look at the file. So this particular item, it actually stores that particular file in your your mobile phone. Now, it's by default is here, your SD card. So I assume that you might need to have an SD card in your this mobile phone, and then whatever file that you put in here, it'll be saved as that. Then after that, you can extract to your computer and then do other things. Okay, so let's put this on here, lock, and see the information of the file. Yep. Okay. Yes, you can, as long as this output as a CSV, then this file will be stored as a CSV format. Then you just open that file in your computer in the Excel. Immediately you'll be in Excel format. Okay, I've not tried this before, but I've seen many examples doing this, so it's not an issue. Okay. And the file. Okay, you gotta give it a name. You gotta give it a name. So let's say you want to name this, let's say you click a button. You need to create a button, for example. You say output this. Maybe next to here, you can put, then this one you don't centralize, you put it on the left, and then user, you put another button. And this button is set, you put as save to file, for example. And then you just put this as 16, make it bigger. Wait, it's 18, okay, 18. And then you also want to move to, what's the size? 50%, okay, then this will be remaining. Okay, so you press this button. That is the, we're going to change the name also, button, name. You know, it's very hard to see. Rename that as a button. Save to file. Go to logs. And then you go to save. When you click, right? Then you want to give it a name. Say file name. And that text is actually your list. This guy here. You need to output it. Let's output list to CSV row. This to, you want to get this, and then give it, just give more space, and then give it a name. Name is a text file. And put it here, and give it a name as in like tested text.csv. Like that. I think. Oh, good question. CSV, let me see. Oh, it should be table, you're right. The row will be just one row. Yeah, it should be table. You guys are getting better than me already. Okay, good. Yeah, something like that. All right. Okay. So this is for you to try by yourself. So the flow should be the same as your app one. All right. So I don't think we have enough time to go through app three. Um, I'll leave it to you. You know, if you want to play around with it, it's fine. But ultimately, I encourage all of you to do one final app with your to set your own problem statement. You own this. Your own problem statement. What is the thing that you see after going through this app one, and what you can do with this platform? So what are the things that you're able to do to can simplify, whether it's your work or even your own hobby? What are the things that you can start to keep track? Create your own customized automated systems on your phone, right? So my challenge here to you is for your own app, uh, I would like you to use here any two functions here in this media. This one is a media, and two functions here. This one is a sensor. So for those with Android phone, you can use all of them if your phone supports. Okay. So if your phone supports all this, you're able to do that. But for those who are on emulator, you should have no problem doing the clock, right? And um, my understanding is you should have no problem with the, let's see, um, location sensor. These two you should be able to do even though on emulator. And then for the on the media side, uh, for the sound, you should have no problem with sound. I thought this speech recognizer you should be no problem, but if you cannot, never mind. Then you can do this text to speech. The text to speech is using your computer's speaker to just translate. Your phone will translate, and then the audio will come out from your computer. You should be able to do this. Image picker also no problem for an emulator. Okay, so you're able to do this app by yourself, and then like I give assignments for the engineers every Monday, 2359 they need to submit. But for your case, for all of us on this mobile app, you can post it on the Skype and let everyone try it out. And then let's all of us do the vote, see who has the best application. Okay? Can we do that? So it'll be the Mestron app. Okay? So I'll leave now for any Q&A. I'll be here until 12:30. So for those of you who still have questions or problems with the previous application, app one, for example, just ask me, no problem. I'm here. Okay, thank you, everyone. Yes, one assignment is the overseas expenses, which I think you should be able to do. You can follow exactly the same as mobile app one, right? So, but just change the value or change the information. Then the mobile app 5 is the one they're going to send to everybody. You can put it in the Skype. So let everyone try. So how do you do that? Remember I mentioned that you can use, let me just show you again. Go to here, go to designer, your build, save the APK. So this will download the compiled version of your application to your computer, and you just distribute that out to everyone. So all of us can try. But instead of the APK, change the APK to your name so that we know that it's from you. All right? So let this be a challenge to everyone. Yes, I'll put to the cloud so all of you can access. Okay. Video player, is that? Video player. Video player, okay. Under the media. This one? Okay. So for media player, you see this media down here. Once you select the media player component, you can upload. You need to upload that media. You need to upload that media. Once you upload into the cloud, then you can access. Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay, for those of you who have no question, you can leave. But I'll be staying here until 12:30. Anybody any question, just ask me. Okay, bye-bye. So submission is next Monday, 2359. So that means by end of Monday, you should submit that. Okay, the more app you do, the better you become. I can guarantee you this. Okay. Most importantly, just try and play around with it. You won't crash your whole computer. If you got any problems, you can always ask me. But with this platform, it really allows you to play around and fully maximize your phone. Oh, sure, sure. Just give me a second. Yeah. Oh, did I miss someone? I think I did miss. Oh, okay. Oh, save to file coding, is it? Okay. Save to file here. This one. So if you were to click on this, let me just click on this one. Then you go through a compilation, and then after that, you will output that .apk file to your computer. That's it. Oh, okay. Just give me a second. I'll just see that one. Let me do that again. So this one, you need to do a build. Go all the way to the top, do a build, and then choose this. You see this? Once you click this one, save APK, it will compile. This is compiled in the cloud. Then after that, it will allow you to save your compiled file. So let me just do that. Huh? So now it's compiling. All these compilations are all done in the cloud. After that, you just ask you to save. Yeah, over here. So where you want to save to, it's really up to you. Well, the other thing is that if let's say you want to save your all these codes, right? There's also another way. Go to my project. You can save project as or export. No, export this. Export. It will download your program into a .aia file. This .aia file allows you to load it up again. You can import that file, that particular code into this platform again in the future. So if you want to save your code, everything into your computer, just choose this. Export selected project, which is this project, into a AIA file. This is similar to a code, your source code. Okay, mine is really disconnected. Let me see. Okay, let me see. This question is that. Oh, okay, Angelo. No apps check. Oh yeah, correct. Because it cannot connect, right? But you try on the computer. At least you can try to do the blocks and your this design. Just down here. You can try to do this, and then maybe you can do is that you finish, right? You just download this APK and then you send to any of engineers. They can try. They can test it out for you. Okay, that's good. What do you mean total value, Adrian? You mean you want to add, is it? You want to sum up the values in the list, is it? Okay. So you want to do that, then the suggestion is you declare a global variable, and this is the total amount. And then for this is math is numbers, right? Can you see me? Okay. Okay. Then you need to declare this as here. Okay. So declare a variable, a global variable with a number. And after that, in your summation, if let's say the person, if assuming this temperature is the amount or the number you want to add, right? So after you get the result, all you have to do is go to the number and take out this one. No. What you want to do is, you want to sum, assuming that result is a number, right? Number to your global variable. Yeah. And this one is the total amount. And then you will add that over to your, you will set the total amount to this, okay? Like this. And then you put it over here. So what this does is that you will add the whatever amount that is here, which initially is 0, right? Initially is 0. And then the amount that you mentioned here will be added to this global amount, and then that will transfer into your total amount, meaning the total amount plus your initial value with the result. And every time you go through this, you will constantly accumulate. Then this becomes your total amount already. Correct? Yeah, you try, right? Save file logic block. I don't understand. The logic block is logic block itself, and this is the control. But save file is the file that you want to save. I mean, save file is what? Is the build, your build file, or is your project file, or is external file? No blocks window. I don't get it. What do you mean no blocks window? Save file procedure. You're talking about you have this file, is it? Let me see. You have this one, is it? Okay, so I drop this here because I do not have this one. Okay, I got save file. I got a file logs. Then let me just go and, oh, I got two actually. Okay. So let me just delete. I don't need one. Let me just delete this one. Okay, got one here. Okay, so you want to put a logic here, right? When to save it, right? So I have a button here, you see, save to file button. So I create a button and then I name that this button as save to file, right? Then I go to blocks and then I go to the save to block button. So save to block, this is the button for the save to file on design, and I choose this click, save to file, click, and I put in this function. This one I get it. This one I got it from here, from the file. File, see, I save file. Okay. Then after that then you place this whole block under here. So meaning that the moment you click this button, you click this button, you save all this information in this list into this file called testedbank.csv. Okay. Okay. Good. Oh, okay. If you have no action, we need to give permission, I think. Just give me a second. Let me check. Okay. Okay. Just phone. Oh, should be yes. Yeah. Abdullah, you should notice here. You need to include this oblique. Once I include oblique, I can save already. Okay, do you see the file? I saw mine already. Mine is in the internal storage. Let me see. Yeah, I have my data there. Let me see. Yours is Table, global list, let me see here. Confirm. Okay, the file name has got no spacing, right? Yep, I saw. Your file name, no spacing, right? I have it on mine. Mine actually store the data already. Sure. Do you have the, let me see. Okay, global list of tester packs. List of test. Global. You don't have that file, is it? The file it doesn't exist in your this phone, is it? You're using the emulator or is the physical phone? Physical phone should have. Mine, I already have mine. Do you have any data in the global list of tester packs? But even if you don't have any data, right, you should still save a empty file in the worst case. No idea, because files, saving of files is just this block only. That's all. It's very simple. Okay, good. You send me the AI file. Let me take a look. Okay, let me just load or import one from computer. Okay. Okay, let me test. I'll delete my file first. Okay, then let me try yours. John, 37.1. Yeah, I have it. I'll send an image to show you. So that means it must be your phone. Sorry. So it's actually located here. Let me just show you at the root directory of the phone. So from the root, you can notice the file is saved there. Okay. Yeah, so it's a firewall. Okay, so you can try around and play around with that. Okay, everyone, I think I will call it a day for today. So please, I strongly encourage you to try and submit your app, and then let's see who has got the best app. Okay, have fun, everyone. Bye bye.